We're back looking messy, but with poetry. Two poems specifically, and I will recite them back to back. But before that, I wanted to start off with some quotes that I felt would be applicable to some of these situations. I don't know, I just felt like saying them. The brighter the light, the darker the shadow, reminded me of some people who are very luminescent and bright in this life. And it seems like the brighter the light that's placed in you, the longer the shadow of darkness that is wielded upon you. So I think of like athletes, like the Gervonta Davises and the Mike Tysons, who are historically bright lights, but were only really given tools to operate with their hands and with their rage, and they were fit perfectly for that boxing ring. But then when they step out of it, there's no boxing ring. There's just life, and life becomes harder than the fight. The fight of life is far harder than the fight within the ring. And I think about all the challenges that people have to endure just to be. So that leads to my next quote, which is, if humankind created it and made it, you can get past it. There's always a way. As long as a human has built it, there's always a way to get past it. So this first poem is called All of Humanity Lives Through Me. All of humanity lives through me, and I through it. I am every rib of nature still humming in your poetry. I am your pain, I am your struggle, I am the ache that repeats itself until it learns its own name. I am your face when the mirror refuses recognition. I am the love that wakes you in the morning before language arrives. I am the face that grieves you when love leaves fingerprints behind. I am humanity at its brightest and its lowest, and in the long corridor between where nothing is visible but everything is felt. What cannot be seen moves through me anyway. I do not exist for one body, one border, one moment. I breathe humanity's breath right now, and I do not interrupt the flow. History is watching because I am letting it. I am humanity, not the word, not the flag, not the clean sentence that behaves itself, but the pulse behind the sentence when it breaks open. All humanity lives through me, and I through it. A river borrowing my ribs, a rib borrowing a river, storm learning my name, name learning a storm, a mouth of earth speaking through my throat. I am every bit of nature in your poetry, the bruised purple sky, the stubborn root, the salt of a shoreline that keeps returning to itself even when it is tired. I am your pain, and I am your struggle, and I am your pain again because some circles just continue. Because some truths do not pass once, they circle, they insist, they come back with their hands full. I am your face when it cannot see yourself, the mirror fogged by survival, the eyes asking the eyes for permission to be real. I am the love that wakes you up in the morning, not soft, not decorative, but practical, its breath, the kind that says, stand, even if you do not feel holy, even if you feel hollow. And I am the face that grieves you, the witness you cannot outrun, the grief that sits down beside you like it has paid rent here for years, like it knows the floorboards by their creak. I am humanity at its brightest and lowest, the hymn and the heckle, the open hand and the clenched fist, the apology that arrives late and the forgiveness that arrives still bleeding. I am everything that cannot be seen, the quiet labor behind a laugh, the childhood swallowed mid-sentence, the secret prayer pressed into someone's pocket like a note that says, do not disappear. All of humanity lives through me thoroughly, and I will not stop it from flowing. I will not damn the ache. I will not pretend the joy was an accident. I see all of humanity in me so clearly that my body becomes a hallway and history walks through mud on its shoes, stars in its hair asking for a place to sit. Mud on its shoes, stars in its hair asking for a place to wear. It exists not just for any being, but for every being who has ever been told, be smaller, be quieter, be less. I am breathing humanity's breath right now, and I am not ashamed of the weight of it. I am allowing history to see me not as a monument, not as a lesson, but as a living, as a trembling, as a becoming. If there is something here, then let it be this. I speak to stay alive. I speak to keep the spirit from being misfiled, being erased, from being taken by tidy narratives and polite forgetting. I am humanity, and I am not finished. I am the flood and the holding. I am the wound and the wisdom. I am the voice that refuses to die just because the world prefers silence. I am humanity. I am humanity. I am humanity. And I will not let the spirit go quietly. So the second poem is called Different Shapes of Us. The universe does not ration wonder. It does not stand above us, counting who deserves the sky or who is allowed a moment. There is enough light for every pair of eyes that has ever lifted its head. My love once told me I remember a hill in the quiet patience of evening. Branches leaned towards one another as if sharing a secret, and between them a single star rested, not just in the sky, perfectly placed, as if the night had bent itself very slightly to look at itself through trees, as the sun reflects itself through me to look at me. For a moment, the world narrowed into that point of brightness, and I felt something strange and tender, the possibility that I was the only person in existence seeing the universe exactly like this. Not the sky, not the stars, but this hill, this angle of branches, this particular arrangement of silence translated, touching my face with light. I felt grateful and strangely sad. Because beauty like that is almost impossible to explain. You cannot hand someone your exact moment. You cannot lend them your eyes. Later, I stood at a bus stop in the morning and the sun had taken the star's place. Again, two branches. Again, a perfect circle of light resting between them. And I laughed quietly because the world was repeating itself in a language only I seemed to understand. Not because the moment belonged only to me, but because it belonged to me in a way no one else could ever quite receive. This is the secret of existence, as my love had once said. Reality is vast enough to hold billions of private revelations at the same time. Someone, somewhere, is looking at rain as if it were forgiveness. Someone, somewhere, is standing on a street corner feeling that the wind has called their name. Someone, somewhere, is watching a stranger laugh and suddenly remembering that life is still worth loving. None of these moments cancel each other. They stack, they ripple, they braid themselves together like roots beneath a forest. We walk through this world thinking our stories are separate, but every life is a corridor through which something larger is moving. An injury in one body may become wisdom in another. A kindness given to a stranger may echo across generations. A breath taken today may settle into the lungs of the future we will never meet. Time is not as narrow as we imagine. The universe does not move in straight lines, it moves like rivers underground. A decision here softens a stone somewhere else. A prayer whispered in one century may open a door in another. Perhaps an ancestor found peace because of something you survived. Perhaps the courage in your bones has borrowed light from someone who lived before you. We are not isolated beings. We are not isolated beings. We are intersections. Symbols walking around in human skin, carriers of unfinished stories, the infinite. Every culture has its prophets. Every nation births its dreamers and its healers and its stubborn builders of hope. Some names become famous. Most never do. But the patterns repeat. A voice rises somewhere, a hand reaches towards justice, a heart refuses to let the world remain broken. Psychology calls these archetypes, but that word feels too tidy, too clinical for the ferocity of the human spirit. Because people do not stay fixed. We stretch, we contradict ourselves, we break and then become something new. We are constantly shifting between tenderness and strength, between confusion and clarity, between despair and impossible hope. And somewhere inside all that motion, there are moments when the world pauses long enough for something sacred to slip through. A star between branches, a sun between branches, a whisper in a quiet room. A feeling that this exact breath, this exact moment has been placed in your hands like a gift that cannot be repeated. You may never fully understand why it arrived. Maybe it was meant for you. Maybe it was meant to change someone else through you. Maybe it was meant to ripple through time in ways neither of us will ever witness. But the universe is wide enough for that mystery, wide enough for every interpretation of wonder, and narrow enough to fit in your own eye's shadow, wide enough for every soul to meet the infinite in its own language. So do not be ashamed of the moments that feel sacred to you. Do not shrink the stories your life has given you. Somewhere, someone you have never met is waiting for the exact frequency of your experience to reach them. Sometimes the room is already filled with invisible possibility, waiting for the right person to walk in. Sometimes the room is already filled with invisible possibility, waiting for the right person to walk in. Invisible positivity, invisible creativity. The invisible is it's there. Sometimes luck is simply the courage to be present, to stand beneath the sky, to look up, to notice how the light has chosen you today, and to understand that in this vast and breathing universe, there has never been and will never be again a moment experienced exactly like yours. Love to you. May we all find the languages to translate our silences into mediums that are understandable to us and to those who we love, so that we can not just name the wound, but we can work towards healing it, loving it, and not just sitting beside it. Love to the different shapes of us. Thank you.